Hello students, welcome to your class on refraction and curved surfaces. So today we will learn about lenses and their applications. We will look at how images are formed in lenses and we will actually extrapolate on this idea. Okay, so let's start off. So firstly, let us understand what a lens is, right? So lens is basically a transparent object. It's a refracting object where it is bounded by at least one curved surface, right? So that's what a lens is. Okay, so that's what a lens is. Yeah. So now what do you mean by that? See, if this is a transparent surface, then light will travel through it. Light will travel through it, right? If it's a refracting surface, light will bend on entering this, right? You know from your classes on refraction. So light will bend here, okay? And it is bounded by at least one curved surface. Hence, we actually covered the chapter on refracting surfaces, refracting curved surfaces, right? So when we had plane surfaces, we just had covered prisms and rectangular slabs. Okay. So here we will cover curved surfaces. Each of the layers of the lenses, each of the sides, at least one of the side will always be curved, right? Okay. So let's dive right into it. Firstly, see a lens where both the surfaces are curved on the outer side, it is called a convex lens, a biconvex lens. How do you identify a biconvex lens? It is bulgy at the center, right? And we call this type of lenses the convex lenses. This is a convex lens, so we call this type of lenses converging lens. Why do we call this a converging lens? See, let's understand. You all know prisms, right? So let's try to build this with a combination of prisms. We see that this is basically more or less a convex lens. So when light passes through the rectangular slab, it goes undeviated. When it goes through a prism, it gets deviated. So like this. So you can see that your source of light is coming parallel. After passing through the lens, it is converging, right? So hence it is called a converging lens. Next, let's look at a diverging lens. How does a diverging lens look? Okay. So it will have curved surfaces on the inside, right? So these are thin at the center, right? They are, this is a biconcave lens. Just explaining the structure. There is nothing complex in here, okay? So when you have two bulgy surfaces, then you call this a convex lens. It will actually converge the light. When you have two inside surfaces, this is a concave lens and this will be a diverging lens. Now what does a diverging lens do? Why do you call this a diverging lens? Let's again build it using prisms. So you have a rectangular slab like this. You have two prisms like this, right? Light passing will go here, light will go here, and light will go here. So you see that the source of light parallel after passing through the lens diverge, right? So they are called diverging lenses. You have other lenses, but we will be basically dealing with a concave lens and a convex lens in our syllabus. You have, you can have these type of lenses. You can have plano convex. You can have concavo convex, right? You can have convex or concave. So there are different variations. You just need to remember how to name them. Um, Forming images with these kind of lenses are not included in your syllabus. Okay, just remember the lens. So one layer is curved, other layer is plane. So we call this a plano-convex, right? One is bulgy, one is plane. Okay, so one is thin, one is bulgy. So we call this a concavo-convex, right? These are just naming conventions, nothing tricky in here. Okay. So now that we understand the structure of lenses, they are basically transparent refracting mediums with at least one curved surfaces, right? Now let us talk more about a biconvex lens. What is a biconvex lens? Let's try and draw this first. Okay. Okay. Uh, yeah. So this is more or less a biconvex lens, right? Now you can see that these are actually, if I draw like this, these are actually made out from two circles, right? They are actually okay. This will be better if I could actually draw two circles and then from there extrapolate. Okay. So you have one circle like this. You have another circle just like this, right? So now let me take these two circles here. Okay, right. So now, what will happen is, let me shade this region. So you see, you have a let me fill this region. Yeah. So this is a convex lens. Okay. I actually filled it with the wrong color. Let's fill it with something more visible. Okay. Okay. So this works. Okay. Right. So this is basically a convex lens. Right. Right. Okay. So these two are the optical centers. Why isn't it? Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is a convex lens. This point here, right at the center, it's called the optical center. Right. It's called the optical center. Now, these two are spheres, so they will have their centers, right? Now, these 2 points are called actually the center of curvatures, right? The center of a circle whose part is this bounding surface. So you have a bounding surface like this. So this is a part of a sphere. The center of the sphere is called the center of the curvature. And the line connecting the optical center and the center of curvature, they are called the principal focus, principal axis. Sorry. This is called the principal axis. Okay. So your principal axis will contain your optical center and will contain your center of curvatures. Okay. Now let's talk about some interesting concepts. What we observe in a lens. So this is basically a lens, right? So you need to remember two things about this. See, a ray of light that passes through the optical center, right? It goes undeviated. Howsoever, what angle doesn't matter. If it passes through the optical center, it will always go undeviated. Optical center, ray passing through optical center, undeviated. One more thing is that, the second thing is that you have a lens, right? You have a lens. Suppose the rays parallel to the principal axis. You have some rays parallel to the principal axis. What will happen to them after refraction? We see that they converge, right? They converge. Take two more rays, we see that they converge as well. They converge as well. So this point right here, this is called the focus, right? The focus. Why it is called the focus? Because all the rays that are parallel to the principal axis are focused after passing through the lens, right? So we call this as the second focus or the principal focus, right? Why do we call this a second focus? We'll come to this. See, you have a lens. Okay. This is your optical center. These are your center of curvatures, right? These are your center of curvatures. In between the optical center and the center of curvature is your focus. right? You call this f2. Why is it f2? Because this is the second side. This is the first side, this is the second side. Always remember the side from where object enters, this is the first side and this is the second side. Okay, so it has two focus. Similarly, for this circle, it will have a focus as well. We call this f1. And the relation between, see, this is the center of curvature, right? So basically, between a point in the, suppose this is the optical center right here. So any point, this is r basically. So the distance between the optical center and the center of curvature, let us consider that to be r. Let us consider this distance to be r. Okay, so this is called the radius of curvature. This is the radius of curvature. It is true for OC1 and OC2, right? OC1 and OC2. They are called the center of curvatures. Okay. Now, the relation between the focus, the focal length, so distances OF1 and OF2 are actually called the focal length, right? So the relation is focal length is the radius of curvature by 2. Okay, so you can rewrite the C2 as 2F2 and you can rewrite 2F1 for C2. So remember this also comes in use for your solving problems. Okay, it comes for your solving problems. So this distance is the focal length F, this distance is R, so F is always equal to R by 2, always, right? Now how it came actually, see, this is simple. So you have 2 points, right? The object and the origin and the center of curvature, right? So any ray passing, this is converging at this point, right? This is converging at this point. So what can be the best possible thing or the best possible point so that the maximum rays converge? So it obviously will be the focal length, right? See, suppose you have a point from 0 to 10, right? If I tell you that you need to have 10 rupees, right? And you only can have coins ranging from any number of coins, 2, 4, 6, 8, any number of coins. Okay, so what would be your best guess? If you only have 2 coins, you need to have equal values. You need to have 2 equal value coins such that their sum is 10. So what you will do is you will take 2 5 rupee coins, right? 2 5 rupee coins will result in 10, and these are the maximum possible. This is the maximum possible for which the two values are equal. If you have 4 and 4, it amounts to 8. If you have 6 and 6, it amounts to 12. So basically, if you have 5 and 5, it amounts to 10. What I am trying to say is the point in between optical center and the center of curvature for which the rays will be focusing has to be at equidistance from the optical center and from the center of curvature. So just remember this, that focal length will be r by 2 always, right? Okay. Now we know about the structure of lenses. We have talked about the biconvex lens where you have a lens like this. This is the principal focus, principal axis. Sorry, this is the principal axis more or less, right? This is the first focus. This is the second focus. This is first center of curvature. This is second center of curvature. See, since this is a biconvex lens, here, in this case, as far as your syllabus is concerned, the distance OF1 and OF2 will be equal, right? They will be equal to the focal length, right? And so this point is as far as this point. Also, this point is as far as this point, okay? So OC1 equal to OC2 equal to R, correct? Now, what is remaining is we need to place objects. We need to place objects at various points on this side, and we need to see where the image is being formed. So the basic rule for forming an object is, see, for an image of an object to form, you need to have at least two rays, right? One you will have parallel to the principal axis, and the other ray you will pass it through the optical center. These are the two rays. So if you do that, basically when the two rays will converge, you will get the place for your, you'll get the image point, right? Okay, let me show you what I mean. So let's first place the object at infinity. Let's place the object at infinity. If it is at infinity, see, if it has, if is, sorry, if it is at infinity, so parallel rays will come, right? It's coming from very far, so it will become parallel, right? The light from the sun, when it reaches the earth, it is more or less it's parallel, right? It's more or less it's parallel. Okay, so light coming infinitely far away, it's parallel. So what do you know about parallel rays to the principal axis? After it passes through the lens, it will pass through the focus, right? What can we say about such an image? Okay, we can say that the image is erect. We can say that it is point size. The rays have actually met, so it is a real image, right? Right. Of course, if it is point size, it has to be diminished, right? So this is regarding object at infinity. If object is at infinity, image is formed at the second primary focus, right? The principal focus. Okay. Okay. So now let's look at the second thing. Let's look at the second thing. Suppose this is a lens. Again, this is f1, this is f2, this is 2f2, and this is 2f1. So now let's keep the object. Let's take it from infinity and keep it beyond 2f1, right? Keep it beyond 2f1. Object beyond 2f1. Now let's see what happens. Again, take out two rays, one parallel to the principal axis, okay, one parallel to the principal axis, and one directly passing through the optical center. Okay, I'm very bad at drawing lines using this, so let me just use, yeah, so I need a line that is basically this, correct? Okay, this is a line. Okay, see, now this ray after passing, it converts somewhere here. After deflection, it will go somewhere here, and this is going somewhere here. So they actually meet at this point. So you have the image. See, what can you notice about the image? The image is formed in between f2 and 2f2, right? Image is in between f2 and 2f2, correct? The image is real because the rays have actually met. The image is inverted, so the object is upward and the image is downwards, right? It is diminished. It is of a lesser size than the actual object, right? Okay. So when object is at infinity, it is forming at the focus. When object is beyond 2f1, it is forming at the in between f2 and 2f2, right? Okay, now let us look into what will happen when it is at, okay, let's just copy this. Okay, okay, we'll draw it again. Suppose now you have the same lens, have the axis again. So the rule is just draw out the focal points, draw the center of curvature, then place the object, and you will be done. So now let the object be at 2f2, right? the first center of curvature. Let there be there. Okay. Again, take out two rays. One is parallel, and one should pass through the principal axis, right? One should pass through the optical center. So you have a thing like this. Okay. Have it like this. Okay. And the other line, it should pass from here. Okay. So now you see that there are two rays. Okay. There are two rays, one here and one here, and they are actually meeting at the second focus. So when object is at 2f1, the image is formed at 2f2. What do you know about this? This is again real because the rays are actually meeting. It is inverted, yes. It is of the same size, is not diminished. Same size as the object. Okay, that's it. So you see that when object was at focus, it was point size, then it was diminished. Now it has the same side, and it is gradually moving away from the focus, from the second focus, right? At infinity, it was at focus. Beyond f1 to f1, it is at between f2 and 2f2. At f1 to f1, it is at 2f2, right? As you bring the object closer to the lens, the image is moving further off. Okay. Okay. Next, let's draw one more. Again, draw out the optical centers, draw out the focal length, draw out the center of curvature, right? Okay. I am doing it freehand, but you guys always use a scale for doing this. Now, let us bring the object more closer between 2f1 and f1. Let's bring the object here. Okay. Again, you have two rays. One is parallel to the principal axis, and other will pass through the optical center. Because we just know about these two rays, right? So we need to use these two rays for getting any kind of image. So one will pass through the optical center. Okay, one passes through the optical center, and the other one is parallel. So after a meeting, it will go from the focus here. Okay, so we see that this object here, it is formed beyond the focus, right? It is formed beyond the second center of curvature. Okay, so now this object is real, this is magnified, this is inverted, and it's formed beyond 2f2. I guess you guys have actually figured out the pattern till now. If not, from the table I will show you later, you can figure it out. Okay. The last thing, let's draw two more cases. So we'll have the focus, we have the center of curvature, right? What happens when the object is at focus? Object is at a focus. What will happen is you will have two rays, right? Let me try and draw this ray. That was a very bad ray. Let's use the lines. Okay. So this will go undeviated, right? Okay. This goes undeviated. And this ray, after passing through will go through the focus, and this will go. So you see that the two rays are parallel to each other. And what do you know about parallel rays? They actually meet at the infinity point. So when two lines are parallel or two rays are parallel, they will actually meet at infinity. So the image will be formed, that will be real. They will be point sized because it is meeting at infinity. It will be infinitely small. It will be since it is point size, and it is forming at infinity. Yes. Okay. So that's there. It will be point sized, or will it be point sized? Guys, actually I tricked you here. See, how can the image of an object which is infinitely far off be point sized? We will conceive it to be point size, and that's what is written in your book. It is not actually point size. What it is highly magnified, right? It is highly magnified. So the same example is when you see your sun, you see it to be small. It can fit in your hands, right? When you see it from your house. But can the sun really be fitted in inside your palms? It is quite times bigger than the earth itself, right? Image will be highly magnified, it will be at infinity, it will be real. We'll conceive it to be point size because it is infinitely far off, right? Okay. Now let us bring the object more close. Let us bring it even closer, right? So between F1 and O, what will happen now? This case is actually useful and it's interesting. So you have F1, you have F2, you have 2F2 and 2F1. Okay, take an object. First things first, let's draw a line that passes through the optical center. It will go undeviated, right? It goes undeviated, and another point going through the going through going parallel to the principal axis. After deviation, it goes like this. So you see that there are diverging rays, right? So they are diverging rays. They are diverging rays. This is there and this is there. So we extrapolate. If we extrapolate it back, we'll see that this is actually originating from one point. So let's form the image. Okay, form the image closer. Right. So this is the image. So you see that the rays actually do not meet because they are diverging rays, right? They are diverging rays. But if we extrapolate the rays backward, we can see that they are meeting at this point. So the image formed will be virtual because the rays are not actually meeting, but we can see the image by extrapolating the rays backward. Okay, whenever you need to extrapolate the ray backward, always it will form a virtual image. Okay, it's a virtual image. Second thing is it's erect. You see that it is erect, right? Third thing is it is formed beyond 2f1, so beyond the first center of curvature. Okay, and this is magnified. So in your magnifying lenses, you actually use a biconvex lens. So this being done. Okay, so we actually covered everything related to convex lenses. Now let me tell you guys. Let me give you guys a table, right? So you intuitively know what is what and where images will be forming. You just need to have a pencil and a scale, and you will just give out the position of the image and the nature of the image. But for your simplicity, I'll also give out a table. So see, object, image, type. Okay. When object is at infinity, image is at focus and it is diminished, point sized, real, right? Okay. When object is beyond 2f1, when object is beyond 2f1, what happens is image is formed between the focus and the center of curvature, right? This object is diminished, it is real, and it is inverted, right? Okay. At 2f1, image is formed at 2f2. This is same size, inverted, and real. You see that as you are moving closer, image is going far off, okay, and its size is actually increasing. Between 2f1 and f1, beyond 2f2, enlarged, real, inverted. Okay. Okay. At f1, at infinity, right? And this will be highly magnified but perceived as point sized, highly magnified, real. Of course, it can be, it is at infinity, we can perceive that, so we can't comment on erect or inverted. Okay. Now, between F1 and O, this is interesting, it will be formed at beyond 2F1 on the same side, right? On the same side. And the characteristic is it will be highly magnified, it will be virtual because the rays are not actually meeting, right? And it is erect, right? We actually use this in magnifying lenses. Okay, so that's there. So let's quickly relook. We actually learnt about what lenses are. We actually learnt about the structure of all types of lenses. We actually made lenses, a biconvex lens. We saw how to make lenses using prisms. We talked about biconvex lens, how they are formed. We looked at the two properties of rays. Then we actually figured out this, that focus is r by 2 always. Now, when we placed objects at various positions away from the lenses and we actually figured out the distance between the lens and the images, right? We took out the characteristics. That's here. I'll move them here, somewhere in here, right? And I will actually increase its size so that it's more visible, right? Okay. So this is the chart. We actually know, all we need to know is we have to have a pencil and a scale, and we need to draw out lines, and we will actually know where the lens will form an image. Okay. The next day we will actually look at the diverging lenses. They are actually easy. Then we will tell you about the lens maker formula and actually how you can use that formula to predict the position of the image if you know the object distance. So you won't even need a pencil and a scale. You can always use that formula and tell me, you can always tell where the image will be formed. Okay. So we'll meet in the next class. We'll talk about diverging lenses. We'll talk about the lens maker formula. We'll use that formula to derive some things, and we'll end the chapter after discussing some miscellaneous concepts. Okay. I hope you guys had fun. Meet you in the next class.